Hey, I'm your host. Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you had a second chance? Are you willing to take a gamble, open your heart, and change your thoughts and perspective for a new chance at life? Welcome to the Wisdom Cafe. I'm your host, Arthur Tassinello, a relationship and leadership coach and mentor. Join me each week for insights into how you can have more love, happiness, peace, and abundance in your life without giving up who you are. Know that you are powerful and you are the governor of your life. So listen, learn, and leap into a better future. Hi, everybody. My name is Arthur Tassinello. I am hopefully And Gina has her own personal journey that she's been on, like many of us. You know, it's interesting because we all do have a journey. I was telling my sister today, I said, you know, I look at our life, how we grew up, thinking some of the things that were difficult or we didn't like very much. Yes. Yet, but when I look at other people's lives, the trauma that you had in your life specifically, and other people that I know that I've coached and I've had on the show, I go, my life was easy, very easy. And I find it always heartwarming and interesting when somebody can actually take their life and change it dramatically into something more powerful and adding more greatness to their life, and by doing that, adding greatness to other people's lives. So tell us a little bit about, I guess, a little bit about your growing up, and more so, what it took for you to get out of that situation. What made you, or what prompted you? Was it just this something inside of you that said, I can't do this anymore this way, and I need to take another direction? Was it just love? Was it, explain it to the audience a little bit, would you please?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Arthur. This is an absolute pleasure to be here. And I would venture to say that we all know at least a handful of people that have had it harder than we have. Mm-hmm. Harder being the operative word. Mm-hmm. But the truth of the matter is we don't know how difficult or hard it is until we get a bit older. Mm-hmm. We only know what we know in those moments. And the truth is, for me, that being joyful was never an option for me. Mm. And so in those moments of what I would consider chaos, or for lack of a better word, negativity, I found joy in the little things, like playing jacks by myself.
Interesting.
Having faith, just sitting and just knowing, there was a knowing in who I am. And even as a little girl, I had that. And so when you say, tell me a little bit about it, it's hard to say a little bit, but I'm going to try. So growing up in an addictive household, which many people have, I have lots of friends and outside family members that actually went through the same thing, mm-hmm. but everyone's response is different. Yes. So someone's response might be anger, someone's response might be volatility, mm-hmm. Rage, right. Sadness. In my case, even though I felt sad, I found a way to find joy in the little things. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it was just sitting and saying everything's going to be okay. Something inside me just compelled me to stay in that thought process.
Well, this is interesting, and I appreciate that. I guess I'm going to go to another little place in your book, which was when you were very young, because of all the trauma and so forth, you actually started to find comfort in food.
Yes.
Right? And so we talk about comfort food, and people talk about comfort food, but not like you had comfort food.
I knew you were going to bring this up, Arthur, and I'm so glad you did.
Because comfort food for you was all the things that caused you to gain an enormous amount of weight.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so when I think about that, and I think about your story and your being here right now, I'd like to get to the place of, okay, so you were in, and I'm sure a lot of people have been here. I'm sure a lot of people have been in this situation.
Yes.
Where you're searching for something else to satisfy you because you're not getting satisfaction from your family or a friend or your partner or whatever that is.
Yes.
So you choose something that is probably, possibly unhealthy.
Yes.
And so that's what you chose to do. But there was something else in the book that I want you to talk about, which said, okay, I realize that this is really bad news for me.
Yes.
What prompted you? What energy did you get from inside of you that allowed you to stop doing that and go get healthier and get smarter about what you did? What was that for you?
Well, I'm going to first start with my sugar addiction. And so without judgment here, on a scale of 1 to 10, if I had to choose an addiction, this would be, I would say, the lesser of many evils, okay? And so this sugar was my addiction of choice. And so even though I found joy in those smaller moments, there was still pain, right? And so I had to figure out a way to soothe that pain, and I found that through sugar. It became a very close friend of mine, and it soothed me in those moments, many, many, many moments, and usually they were lonely moments most of the time. How I got past that years later, and it took a very long time to get to where I am today, but going back to my 20s, my husband was very ill at the time, and I had 2 little children. And leading up to my fitness journey, losing the weight and all of that was really prompted by fear. My husband was very ill, and we really didn't know if he was going to be okay. And so I thought, gosh, I don't know if my children are going to have a parent that is present, is there for them. And I really did not want that to happen. And so my journey started there, and it really was based from fear. And I'll go back to that in a minute, but what I'd like to say about that is one of the things in this stage of my journey at 55 now is I would love for people to find health before the fear happens. And so I wish I had found that before the fear, because I was in very, very bad shape at that time.
Yeah, fear is an interesting, can be a motivator, and it also can take you down a very dark places as well.
Yes.
Fear. I talk about that in my books as well, the fear of success and fear of failure and
yes.
fear of many, many things, fear of moving yourself forward in any direction whatsoever, which certainly can get us very stuck in one place.
Absolutely.
And never allowing us to get anywhere else. I know that when I coach people about this, they're fearful that they can't have a relationship with anyone.
That's right.
Or a family member.
That's right.
The thing is that, like you have to find something within you that says, I'm not going to take it any longer.
That's right.
Wasn't there a news
yes.
program that said, I'm
mad as heck and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. But I guess sometimes you have to get to that place.
Yes.
Right? And it's a terrible place to be, but also a place that sometimes that's what it takes for you to get out of that. I call it that being comfortable in the uncomfortableness.
Yes.
Right.
I love that, Arthur.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So, and when we talk about love, you were loving sweets.
Yes, I was.
Right? But we want to talk about the love that we have for ourselves.
Yes.
Which also helped you move forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So now today that you actually teach people how to get healthy, don't you?
I do. That's what I do.
So go
Yes.
ahead. Tell the audience a little bit more.
So, first off, I believe, as cliche as this sounds, happiness is a decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it comes from many different places. And so it comes from us. But self-love is extremely important in that journey. Mm. And it took me a long time, decades, to get to where I am today. When I wrote the book, which was over a decade of writing, mm-hmm. and it's not even a large high volume page book.
I called it, I named it when I was talking about a little bit earlier when I was here with Freddie and Don, and I called it a bookito. Now,
yes.
Now somebody else.
A bookito.
Yeah, somebody else made that term, right?
That's
coined
cute.
That term because he writes a lot of little stuff.
Yes.
Right? But it's a quick read, but it's also a very interesting read about you. And what I love about it is that if people that are having any trauma in their life, they can relate to it. And hopefully there's hope.
Yes. Yes. There's always hope, Arthur.
Yeah.
I believe that. Yeah. There's always hope. Mm-hmm. And if you throw a little faith in there and peace, which also comes from within, of course, mm-hmm. then that's a beautiful recipe for lots of love that can be generated from within. Yeah. And so self-love is a journey. We're always developing it. And my journey started at around in my later 20s, and my weight was just ridiculous at that point. Mm-hmm. And unlike many people
when you
I
say
know,
ridiculous, how ridiculous was it?
Well, I was always an overweight child and young adult. At that time, we only had a store called Lane Bryant, which I'm sure you wouldn't know.
I remember that.
That's all we had, yeah. And there were a few stores.
Not that I went there, but I remember the name. Yeah.
That's basically the only stores we had. Nowadays, we have, sizes 14, 16, and 18 are more of the norm than they were years ago. So we had to figure it out on our own. And I mean, there were plenty of pregnancy clothes that I had to wear that worked really well. Wow. That's just the way it was. But getting back to when I was in my late 20s and I had my second child is when it really plummeted. Mm. And so I had 2 children at home. I was making sure, I was supporting the family, and then my husband got ill. And I just knew I had to do something different. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's so much more than just losing the weight. Mm-hmm. We all know we can lose weight, right? And so there are a plethora of ways to do this. But the bottom line is, who are you when you're trying to lose that weight? Who are you? Where are you coming from? Mm-hmm. Are you coming from a place of desperation? Are you coming from a place of neediness? Are you coming from a place of confidence? Mm-hmm. There are lots of ways. In my case, it was coming from fear. And so I'd like to see people get recreate a story for themselves and find the best in them and cultivate that, mm-hmm. and find people that lift you up. I didn't have that kind of support system. So for me, faith is what got me through.
Sure. It's interesting that when you talk about support system, a lot of people unfortunately don't have that, but a lot of people also don't search out for maybe other organizations that or other groups, like-minded groups, where they could get
Very
that kind of
true.
support.
Very true.
Right? And so, you know, what we talk about life and a purpose and so forth. And when I talk about life, it's about, it's first of all, it's so big, isn't it? I mean,
It's so big, it's infinite. It's impossible to put in a word or two or three.
right.
It's impossible.
So life is something that we experience from an early age, obviously.
Yes.
And as we're experiencing that, our experiences are many.
Yes.
And as I think I mentioned it before, sometimes not so good and sometimes okay.
True.
Okay. I don't think anybody in this world ever escapes any traumas or the potential traumas that are out there.
Yes.
But the thing is what do we do with that? What do we take it and do we learn from it? Do we do something with it that's positive, or do we just sit in it and wallow in it?
Right.
And say, oh, woe is me.
Right. Where does that get you?
Yeah.
Where does that get you?
So I like to, I've written a few books. And,
Yes, you have.
And one of them, this was my first one in 2009. It's called Quantum Shift into Greatness. And it says right on the cover, what lies behind you and what lies in front of you is absolutely nothing compared to what lies inside of you. And this is what I like to get to all the time.
Yes.
When I have a guest on the show or I'm speaking to anybody, because it is what's inside of me that's going to make the changes, because only I can change myself.
Absolutely.
Right? Only you can change yourself.
For sure.
This book was more about trying to get people to understand more about the global part of life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the spiritual part of life, as we talked about the greatness of life and what got us here, what brought us here, where did
Yes.
we come from.
Yes.
And when I looked at science, quantum science,
Mm-hmm.
and when I looked at spirituality, and of course this is from studying some science, I'm not a scientist, and studying spirituality and kind of connecting the dots.
Yes. Very
that said,
important.
oh my goodness, science, spirituality, they're saying that we all came from this big bang. So science doesn't always want to acknowledge that the possibility of something, of an entity or an energy or God, okay? I mention God because that's my belief system. That is where we came from.
Yes.
Connecting those things were very important to me because I just wanted people to understand that we're all the same, basically,
Yes.
and that we all have this life force within us that we can do many, many things with.
I agree.
So I'm going to get on with a little bit more of this so I can collect my thoughts and not go so far apart that I can't rein this in for everybody so we get a good message. So we're going to take a commercial break here, and we'll be back in a minute. Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you had a second chance? Are you willing to take a gamble and change your thoughts and perspective? Welcome to the Wisdom Cafe. I'm your host, Arthur Tassinello, a relationship and leadership coach and mentor. Join me each Wednesday at 3 p.m. to explore what it is to be human and create that second chance.
You've been watching The Wisdom Cafe with Arthur Tassinello. For more information, please contact the studio at 888-994-4995 or send an email to arthur@arthurtassinello.com. And now, back to the show.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show with Gina Stano.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming back.
So I think a good jumping off point here is in this book, one of the chapters is about forgiveness.
Yes.
And so forgiveness isn't always just about forgiving other people.
That's right.
Sometimes it's about forgiving yourself.
That's right. That's where it starts.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I have in here is, you know, trying to find out as you go deep, I have not forgiven myself for something.
Yes.
Could you maybe talk about, was there something that you didn't forgive yourself for? Or
we
maybe
need
that
more than
you,
an hour for that.
or maybe
We're gonna
that,
need more time for that.
or maybe
Arthur.
something that you haven't even still forgiven yourself for. But let's go back a little bit, because it's important that we do forgive ourselves,
Yes, it is.
right? So we can,
Yes.
because that's a healing process,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So have you forgiven yourself for some of the things that you did when you were younger, or some of the things that you did when, you know, your kids were young and so forth? Is there something that you want to share? I want you to reveal anything that you're not comfortable with, but
I am an open book. I have nothing to hide, especially because I know now that I'm a little bit older, I'm a Gen Xer, that sharing your knowledge, and knowledge could mean just experience, is so helpful. It's just helpful. People can understand, they can relate, and that's what I'm here to do, which is just to share whatever I know. It doesn't mean I'm right, it doesn't mean I'm wrong, it just means this is what I experience and this is what I can share. And as far as forgiveness goes, that's ongoing. It's not just finite. Right now, today, I have forgiven myself completely, and I forgive everyone. It's a constant state of forgiveness. Maybe it's forgiveness of the world in general. Do I forgive the whole world and encompassing? So for me, every year, it deepens my forgiveness for myself, my self-awareness, which deepens my self-love. So the more awareness I have, the more forgiveness I have within myself and for others, for their ignorance, because I have ignorance too, for their just not knowing or being afraid or not saying the right thing. I forgive them because I have that in myself too. I see my shadow.
Yeah.
And so the more forgiveness we have, the more happy we can be, and the more self-love we can develop. It's a simple formula, but it's hard for most, and it was for me too.
that's a good point. That's
Yeah.
a very good point. Yeah, forgiveness, there's so many virtues that we talk about that we don't always recognize, and
Yeah.
sometimes we don't live up to, or sometimes we just don't know how to handle it,
Very true.
right? Whether it could be empathy, some people just don't know how to be empathetic.
Absolutely
Right.
true.
Some people just don't know how to be very caring,
That's a great point.
and all of those things. But well, I'm going to get back to forgiveness. So I'll just read from the book a little bit. Forgiveness is not something that comes easy for everyone. It is also something that you want to do, but find deep trouble being able to get there. And you mentioned that.
Yes.
You did mention that. Sometimes you say you forgive someone, however, your heart, your action, or your decision are not congruent
Yes.
with that reconciliation. So
Very
you want to
true.
forgive,
Very true.
but something holds you back from being able to do so. Moreover, it is even more challenging to forgive yourself for the things you have done and the words you have said or the experiences that you have had, which always brings me to what we say versus our actual actions.
Yes. Yes. Are they congruent?
Right.
Very often they're not.
And I find that often happens in parents with children more than anything else, because we say to our kids, go do this, but your actions aren't congruent with what your words are because you don't do it.
That's right.
You don't act that way.
That's right.
You say to forgive somebody, forgive that kid, he didn't know better, so just forgive him. Yet here you are in front of your kids talking maybe about your husband, or the husband talking about the wife.
Yes.
Right? And saying things that don't line up
Yes.
with what you do. So has that ever happened to you?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought this up, Arthur. I am so glad. I was a mom. I am a
And you are a
mom.
mom.
And I raised two boys, and they're adults now, 29 and 27. And this is so poignant, this point you're making right now. I love that you're saying this, because when you are dealing with children, your word teaches them integrity. And are we teaching our children integrity? So forgiveness falls under that header, right? And lots of other things. Conviction, awareness. There are so many things that fall under this. So my regret was I didn't know. I was very ignorant. No one taught me how to be a mother. Right. And I was learning about my own integrity as a human being. And so what I say, do I do that? Well, at that time, sometimes, but not always. And I know, for me, if you say you're going to go to the gym at 9 a.m. and you go through your day and you don't go to the gym, it's not an opportunity to beat yourself up, because we're human, right? However, do you have integrity with yourself?
Right.
Have you listened to what you've said to yourself? And then, and only then, can you actually do that with other people?
Boy, you know, that's a great point, because I do that to myself often.
We all do it.
About exercise.
We all do it.
Right?
I'm going to have salad. I'm going to have salad. And then no, we're not having salad. It looks like pizza tonight. I know, because I did it myself, and I still do.
Right.
Yeah.
So now this brings us back to, do we forgive ourselves for that? But also, in addition to forgiving ourselves for doing it, because there's only so many times you're going to forgive yourself before you say, okay, you need to live up to what you say you're going to do.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So forgiveness is one of those, I'll call it a fine line.
It's a fine
for
line.
ourselves.
Yes.
I'm not talking, this is just within me or within you, for yourself, me for myself.
I understand.
Not
Yes.
forgiveness of other people.
Yes.
But there is that fine line of saying, okay, I said I'm going to go to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I missed it today, and I'll forgive myself for not doing it today.
Yes.
It's like, how many times do you forgive yourself, and how many times do you need to forgive yourself before you finally live up to? I had a gentleman that wanted to stop smoking. He didn't really want to. I tried to help him, and he finally said to me, I really don't want to stop smoking. So, you know, it's one of those situations.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about unconditional love, shall we?
If you'd like.
I think it's one of the most underrated two words there is, because love is infinite. Mm-hmm. It can't be, it's not tangible, but we know it exists. If someone would like to challenge us on that, I would love to have them on the show. I'd love to hear what they have to say. So we know that love is an all-encompassing, never-ending, never-dying vibration, right? But unconditional love and forgiveness go together. Mm-hmm. So this is what I want to touch on for a moment.
Sure.
Is when we forgive ourselves, it means I don't have conditions on how I love myself. I don't have any conditions. I'm a human being. Sometimes I'm a human doing, and sometimes I do the wrong thing. Right. And so in those moments, I say, it's okay, let's see what happened here, how it happened. I forgive myself because I don't have conditions on me loving myself. I'm not going to hate myself today just because I didn't do the right thing with my child. I'll try to fix it and find integrity in the mistake. Yeah,
that's a very good point, because these two words are always the love-hate thing, right?
Yes.
So, not sure how to address the hate part, because that is such a deep, harsh, debilitating word.
Yes.
If you say you hate something, that brings up so much negative energy. Now this gets into how it affects your body.
Yes.
Not just your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sickness that brings forth, it manifests in so many ways, not just within your body, but within your realm, within your sphere,
Yes.
and with everybody else.
No question about it.
So I believe that we need to take hate out of the dictionary and never say that word again, because it's like the devil word for me.
Yes, I understand. It took me a long time to eliminate that word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hate something. I may not like something.
Yes.
And I also found that when we can talk about, I like to talk about love a lot,
I know you do.
right? It really is my foundation, and I truly want all of us to love everyone.
Of course.
As difficult as that may be sometimes.
Yes, that's the goal.
But we could love somebody and still maybe not like what they do.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, and that changes the dynamic from, I hate you because I didn't like what you do, to
That's right.
I really, I didn't appreciate what you did, or I don't like what you do. I don't like what you do most of the time, so I'm really not going to associate with you, which you could do as well.
Right.
But to wish harm to somebody and to hate somebody because of the perspective that you didn't like what they did, or
Yes.
you don't like how they are, that is what causes the wars
Absolutely.
in the world.
No question. Our inner war,
Right.
right? Hate puts us in a different vibrational energy. There's no debating that. And so, not to get into this too much, but I think that when you decide to make a shift in your thinking and your actions, and making sure that there's cohesion there, that's when things start to turn around. And so it's a bonus if someone believes in you. It's an extra bonus if you believe in yourself. And if you don't, fake it till you make it. Because if no one's going to do it for you, you got to do it for yourself. And so you can work with the neurolinguistic thinking, right, to say it out loud, have your brain hear it. We know that this is true.
Right.
We can do that with our brains. It's a beautiful, elastic. What is the word I'm looking for? We have neuroplasticity.
Yeah,
that was the word I
NLP,
was looking for.
right,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
neurolinguistic.
So we want to. That's the goal. Is we want to do more of what we need to do, which is belief in ourselves, love for ourselves, eliminate hate because it really serves no purpose.
Right.
If someone can tell me a purpose that it serves, how hate actually serves a purpose,
Yeah.
I would love to hear what they have to say.
Right.
I would love to hear that conversation.
But I'm talking about these things. You talked about NLP. Really, what we're doing is we're trying to rewire our brains
Yes.
from some place of a negative place that we were
Yes.
into a very positive place.
Absolutely.
So we have the opportunity to do that every day, right? From
Yes.
every minute, every situation that arises.
That's right.
We were talking about that earlier on the Brooklyn Cafe show, and the opportunity every day when you wake up to start, you can start to make it a positive day. You don't
That's
have to
right.
make it a negative day. You can start by saying, okay, let's see how the day goes.
Yes.
Make it easy on yourself. Do
Yes.
whatever you're doing. Try to relax and enjoy your coffee. Not everybody gets the opportunity to do that.
That's right.
Unfortunately.
That's right.
But you can still start your day from a place of peace and calmness,
That's right.
even if it's not there and happening. Center yourself a
That's
little
right.
bit more, and just change your mind. You may not totally change the situation
Yes.
at that point. You may not make your kids behave in the moment, or you may not, take that phone call that is bugging you, or it's something that's on your mind about business that you're troubled with, but to use that moment to say, okay, I know I can get through this because I've gotten through it before,
That's right.
even though it was hard, even though I was still in the same moment that day that I am in now, instead of going and replaying that negative stuff all the
Yes.
time. Say, I have the ability to do this. I know it, and I know I'll get through it.
That's
And I
right.
know there's a solution to it.
Yes.
I know that this is really funny. So many years ago, maybe a couple of decades ago, there was a situation where, you always have these lists of things to do,
There's always a list.
right? There's always
Means
a,
we're alive.
Right. That's right.
When the
of
list
things
is
to
gone,
do.
something's happening, and we're not here to check it out.
Okay, that's why I have a list. That's why I make a list every day, so I know that I'm here.
That's so good, Arthur. I love that.
But the list is always there, and when you start to prioritize the list, what you'll find is that you'll start to take care of the things on the top of the list. And all of a sudden, many of the things at the bottom of the list all resolve themselves.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, I concur.
They just magically go away.
It's
and you
true.
go, oh, wow. Well, see, this is why prioritizing things is so important.
Absolutely.
Right? The priority for you in your life, right, was to get healthy. The
Yes.
priority for you was, and physically and mentally healthy,
That's right.
because you knew you had the wherewithal to do these things, and you took them, as they say, how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time.
One piece
bite
at a time. That's right. That's exactly right.
And so that's what you wound up managing
Yes.
in your life, to do that one piece at a time until you get to where you are today,
Yes.
right, where you're a much happier individual, you're way more secure in your life,
Yes.
you're healthier mentally and physically,
That's right.
right, and you're still, and there's still things that you're still working on and
Without a
working
doubt.
through,
Without a doubt.
and changes happening, right,
Yes.
like for all of us.
That's the beauty of life.
right.
Yes.
But when you get to love, when you get to love yourself because you
Yes.
care about yourself and you want to do something about your situation, that changes everything.
Without a doubt, 100%. This is such a passion for me, especially in young children and teenagers and young adults, because that's the future, right?
Yeah.
And so for them to develop self-love and belief in themselves, believing in themselves, using their talents, interacting. We know that love comes from interacting too. We're social creatures.
Right.
That's how we're made. And so sometimes when you're younger, it's hard to feel love. It's hard to even define it as a young person. And so my goal is that not only children get healthy physically and mentally, but spiritually as well, and whatever that means for them. Maybe it means they go to church every Sunday, and maybe they're with their friends sitting in a pew, and that makes them feel good. That makes them feel part of something.
Right.
We know that that's true. Maybe that's where they find their love, and faith and love coexist, right? Or maybe they're going to temple on Friday, or maybe they're just lighting a Shabbos candle on Friday. Whatever it is, I think that we look for the negative as children because we're always trying to protect ourselves to survive. It's a survival mechanism. So we're all born with it, and our parents didn't mean to do this to us. And I forgive my parents. They did their best. Nobody taught them, and then nobody taught me. And so as time goes on, we want to do better
Right.
for our children.
So maybe what we need is a book for parents, right?
Don't we, though?
I know there's a lot of books out there that talk
There
about
are.
parenting,
Absolutely.
but maybe what we need is a cheat sheet.
Cliff notes.
Cliff notes.
We need
on-
Cliff notes.
Because I don't think too many parents are really reading.
need Cliff notes.
Reading these books, right? Psychologists put out books about parenting.
Yes,
right?
that's so
Therapists
true.
put out books
Yes,
about.
and a lot of good ones.
A lot of good books
Yes,
about parenting.
absolutely.
So I'm trying to figure out in my little pea brain here why that doesn't sink in. I know that I didn't search for a book when I was young.
Me
I didn't
neither.
even think about searching for a book to help me because I'm going, well, I have a kid and I'm a dad and this is,
Yeah, we're just going to do it.
We're just going to do it.
Autopilot.
Right. And unfortunately, I picked up a lot of the bad habits.
Same here.
from my parents.
Same.
Right.
Same here. Yes.
So what I'm trying to get to right now, folks, is we're trying to get to the nucleus, right? I'm trying to get to the core of who you are, and we were made from love. Whether you believe that or not.
Yes.
I mean, that's up to you, of course. But we were made from love, and inside of us, you see it all the time if you watch movies about young kids, people posting pictures of or videos of their kids playing and so forth. The kids go up to anybody. They just go up to anybody and make friends.
Yes.
Because that's what's within us, that love, that kindness, that caring, that compassion.
An innate need for connection.
Right, and wanting the connection with somebody else.
Absolutely.
So that in itself shows you that that's how we're made. And we only learn the negative stuff from our surroundings and from other people.
Yes.
I'm going to take one more break here, and we're going to come back in just a minute. Thank you. Have you ever wondered what your life would be like if you had a second chance? Are you willing to take a gamble and change your thoughts and perspective? Welcome to the Wisdom Cafe. I'm your host, Arthur Tassinello, a relationship and leadership coach and mentor. Join me each Wednesday at 3 p.m. to explore what it is to be human and create that second chance.
You've been watching the Wisdom Cafe with Arthur Tassinello. For more information, please contact the studio at 888-994-4995 or send an email to arthur@arthurtassinello.com. And now, back to the show.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm enjoying this, even if it seems a little disjointed to you, and we seem to be going in different places. I'm so grateful that Gina is here with me. She helps maybe rein me in a little bit and maybe stay a little bit more focused. But always for this show, it's called the Wisdom Cafe. And it's called that for a reason, because of certainly I started it because of all the years of experience that I've had and all the knowledge that I have. Not that I don't have it all. Certainly haven't had all the experiences for sure, but I can tell you this, I wrote these books because I know what works, and I know what is the things that I'm talking about will absolutely 100% help you in some way. I can't tell you how many businesses I've been in where I've helped people that either worked for me or even my peers in getting things done.
Yes.
And getting through life in a more gracious way. I can tell you that every time I give something to somebody, it almost always is returned to me. Not always true. I mean, I've had disappointments like everybody else. Sure. I've been in partnerships with people where I've been disappointed in their actions and what they did. But then we get back to the forgiveness part, that's number one, and knowing that I have to move forward still with love and trust in my heart.
Yes.
Otherwise, it'll be a spiral down into a very deep well.
Yes.
At that point.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about acts of kindness.
Okay, let's do that.
I think that you can't be unhappy and unloving when you're doing an act of kindness.
Yes, that's true.
And it's something I did teach my children.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I did right.
Probably more than
Not going
one.
to pat myself on the back.
Probably more than one thing, but go ahead.
And even step higher or a step further would be a random act of kindness, right, with no expectation of what's going to come back to you.
Right.
But whether you want it to come back to you or not, it just does. And you can call it whatever you want. You reap what you sow. You can call it karmic energy. I don't care what you call it. You can call it Hakuna Matata for all I care. A circle of life. It is a circle of life. So getting back to kids, I don't care if you're a small child or if you're 93 years old, there's someone you can give to in an act of kindness. And that, in essence, is love. You can't be in a state of love and not be kind. It doesn't work that way.
But we haven't always been this way.
That's exactly right. That's right.
Right? I mean, we can say this now because
Yes, we can.
We've been on the other side of that where we didn't forgive somebody.
That's right.
Right? And
Yes.
when somebody slapped us on the face, we slapped them back.
Right.
Right? And the thing is that we know that that doesn't work.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
I found that because I believe in God, there are lessons that we get all the time. And I'm going to
Yes.
continue to get the lesson that needs to change in my life until I change it.
Same here.
So
We're always learning.
if I continue to dislike somebody or always find fault with somebody else and not look deep within myself, I'm going to continue to get that lesson because I have to look within myself to see what my part was in that relationship or that interaction
Yes.
that needed to change so it would be a better interaction
I
or a
completely
better
agree.
relationship.
I completely agree.
And so that's why, again, this is why the show is created. It's to show the reality of life as best we can.
Yes.
That I haven't escaped it, and certainly Gina hasn't escaped it, and I know you're not
Nope.
escaping it out there. But what are you going to do about it? What will you change within you to make things better? Every time I would hear people either in a relationship that went bad or in a marriage that went bad,
Yes.
saying, "Oh, I wasted all this time. I wasted
Yes.
10 years of my life with
That's right.
X, Y, with him or with her."
Yes.
If you understand, and by the way, I haven't said that, but I've thought that in a relationship until the day when I really sat down and I said and recognized that I was part of that equation.
Same here, Arthur. That's why this is the Wisdom Cafe.
Thank you.
So we have some wisdom here, and
Right,
it's
so it's
a lot
when
of growing
I
pains.
recognized, right, and when you recognize
When you
that you were
recognize
part
it.
of that equation,
Mm-hmm.
you have to look at it and say, what did I do that caused the rift, that
Yes.
caused the breakup?
That's right.
And I'll tell everybody this story. So this is where I call this as stupid is as stupid does. Wasn't that
That's-
from
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump? So I'm married. I am, my wife is, I would say, almost opposite of me because I'm very anal, organized, neatnik, all of these things. I
Yes.
don't know if that's good or bad, but it works for me. But the thing is that one day I know that she's not going to do all the cleanup or the clean the way I do,
Yes.
right? So one day I'm cleaning, and as I'm cleaning, I'm getting annoyed, and I mean really annoyed. And in my head I'm going, why isn't she helping me? This is BS that she's not helping me. You know, I have to do this all the time myself. And then I slapped myself on the face and I went, that's who she is. When are you going to recognize that? And so don't expect something from somebody that of who they aren't.
That's right. That's right.
And in that moment I went, boy, I'm causing myself more anger, unnecessary anger. She didn't do anything. She's just being her.
That's so true. Expectations
Yeah.
of ourselves and in others
Yep.
can be poisonous. It can be poisonous because once you start to do that, it's presumptuous. Okay, so why are we putting ourselves in that situation? I've done it so many times, and our logical brain, we all come from our own place of perception.
Right.
So this is what this whole conversation is about. What is your perception of forgiveness, awareness, and love, and happiness? What is your perception of it? And this develops when we're very small.
Right.
So our expectation is, it makes perfect sense to Arthur that she would want to be helpful. Yet she brought you tea in the morning when you didn't ask for it, right?
Yeah.
So that was an act of kindness,
Right.
which in essence is love. And so I can't believe it because I know you've experienced this, and I have too. and we've had conversations, not just here,
Right.
before this.
Yep.
And so we have that understanding. And so my point is, to have expectations is not loving. It's not.
Right.
To understand another person and have compassion and to ask for what we need is a loving, it's love, but self-love.
Right.
It's our responsibility to ask for what we need. If I am on a diet, I'm going to ask my partner, please don't bring that food into the house. Instead of being resentful when he does and had an expectation that he's going to know not to bring peanut M&Ms in the house. How is he going to know that? Sometimes we don't think.
Unless you have the conversation. Now, he has a perfect right, though, to bring them in the house.
Absolutely.
For himself.
Absolutely.
And you have the opportunity to not eat the M&Ms.
That's right. Or run after him with a wooden spoon until he gets rid of the M&Ms.
Not a good idea. Not a good idea. But so I'm going to take a few minutes because we get close to the end very, very quickly. Why? Look, I don't promote this book for me, right? I really don't. I promote this book for you because what's in here it is your key to love and happiness, because it will help you look at each and every situation. So if we're looking at acting and actions, I can go on about some of these, and I'll probably take a couple of them, but tolerance. Are you tolerant? Do you have gratitude? How do you practice patience? How do you practice compassion? How do you practice respect or giving or inspiration or allowing? I want you to know that the questions in here are to allow you to understand your thinking. It's not for me or anybody else to judge your thinking. This is for you to understand your thinking about things, because everything starts with a thought.
That's right.
What are you thinking when I say the word respect, or what are you thinking when I say the word tolerance? Are you? But not just the answer of it. This is not just a yes or no. This is about why aren't you tolerant?
Right.
Where did you learn not to be tolerant? Or do you practice tolerance all the time or not? Who are your role models in all and every situation of whether, again, it's forgiveness or integrity or kindness or empathy or having just peace or joy in your life or honoring yourself or honoring someone else. The work is deep. I say it's extremely important because I just want to see more love in this world. I want to certainly see more love in my life, and I have to practice this every day.
Same here.
Right?
Same here.
If I don't practice it every day, it'll fade away. I know that, because then you go back to your old self. It's real easy to go back to that Neanderthal brain that we were born with, or that what came in our DNA.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That fight or flight.
Yes.
But to not live in fear is so powerful. To live in a state of love and forgiveness is enormous.
Yes. It's freeing.
It is. It's very freeing.
It's freeing.
Very freeing. Yeah. So it's on Amazon. In fact, any of these books are on Amazon. Quantum Shift into Greatness, 21 Days to Love. By the way, 21 Days to Love was how this book, Your Key to Love and Happiness, happened, because it talks about all the same subject matter, but this one is going to get you to go deep. It's going to get you to go into yourself and figure you out. You don't. The other thing is, you don't have to do this with anybody else. In fact, I don't want you to do it with anyone else, because this is like your secret diary. This is your secret cave.
This is what I love about it. I love that you have people answering questions, and they have to really reflect and write it down. And once you write something down, that thought becomes more solid.
Yes, it does.
And I love that you do that in this book. I think it's very, very helpful, and it really helps bring it in to more introspection for people. Yeah.
So wisdom, that's kind of us trying to share as much wisdom as we can, as because...
It's meant to be shared.
Thank you.
There you go.
It is meant to be shared. You know, I always have, I had a little cheat sheet of little questions in here. Is, you know, how do you let go of trauma? Do you have a good answer for that, or is it just the loving yourself? How do you let go of trauma?
Got to go into the pain. Got to go into the pain. Because that's what sets you free. And so that we need another hour for that. We need another hour for that, Arthur. And a little extra coffee.
Yeah. And we did touch on another question that I had is here. How do you actually change your circumstances, right? And I think, well, for all of us, I won't speak for you.
It's a decision.
Yeah, it is a decision.
It's a decision.
It's that final choice that says, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yes. God gave us free will.
Yeah.
I believe in God. I don't try to make anyone believe what I believe in that regard.
Yeah.
But we all have a choice. We were given free will. It was a gift. Yeah. And so I choose to use it. Yeah, wisely.
I want to touch on one other thing because I think this is very important. I was on a podcast the other day. We were talking more about business and leadership. Mm-hmm. And I would love it if the CEOs, the CFOs, the C-level especially, more than anything else, but even below that, everybody has an opportunity in business to be a real leader. Mm-hmm. And a real leader means that you have the qualities that we talk about in the book, which is that you have patience and you have empathy.
Forgiveness.
And forgiveness, and you care. Mm-hmm. I mean, really care about the people that work for you, that work within the same organization as you. That when you create an atmosphere of freedom of thought, right? When you're not micromanaging somebody else, when you're there for them because that's your job. Your job isn't to sit up there and make people be respectful of you. You earn respect, and you earn respect by helping other people be successful, because you will find out, if you don't know that already, that the more successful the people are within your organization, that you're, and I hate the word managing because it's really leading.
It is leading.
Learn to lead and not manage. Leading.
Yeah.
That elevates you.
Yes.
You are more successful. So if you just want to look at it from a selfish viewpoint, be a leader. Be helpful. Do things for the people below you. Make sure that they're happy. Make sure that they're well fed in the sense that they're earning enough that they don't have to worry about their family.
Well, Arthur, being a leader means you have to really, a good leader and a great leader means you have to really love yourself. Yeah. And so if you have love for others, you can lead an army. Mm-hmm. And so if you look at your employees as your army, yeah, you want to share that with them. Right. And that's the way to do it. Yeah.
So Gina, we're going to wrap up here in a couple of minutes. I know I'm getting the signal. I got about 2 minutes left.
Okay. Tell
everybody out there, look at the camera and tell everybody how they can reach you and how you help them.
Well, I am on Facebook, Gina Stano. That is my Facebook page. I also have Instagram, Gina Stano Fitness Coach, and you can find me there as well. I'll be putting up little recipes and lots of fun things. I think I'm going to do a few things with my Bella, maybe a walk or two. That's always nice to get the family going. I consider Bella my family, just saying, my golden doodle. And at the end of the day, care for yourself really deeply. Not just, oh, I care about myself. No, really care about yourself deeply. You have a purpose here. You mean something to this world. You're taking up space and making a difference in your own beautiful way. That's what I'm trying to do, and I'd love to see everyone do that as a group, as a concerted effort for all of us. I really appreciate you tuning in today.
Thanks for being here, Gina. It's such a pleasure. Thanks for sharing this whole hour with me. It's amazing that it went so quickly, as it always does. Again, for the audience out there, thanks for joining in. If you have any questions about anything, please send them my way. I'd love to answer questions. If you need help, please reach out. I'm here for you. So are my books here for you if you just want to do things in private. And more than anything else, pick up the phone, call somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, that you know needs you, that you need to reach out to. Just do it now. Don't wait. Right? You don't know how much longer you're going to be here in this life. None of us do. I don't care what age you are, whether you're 15 or 75, maybe even I'm older than that. 95. Whatever age you are, I know there's somebody out there that wants to hear from you, and you want to hear from as well.
That's right.
So please pick up the phone, do that. In the meantime, much love, many blessings to you. Until next time, have a great day.
Bye.
You have been watching The Wisdom Cafe. Join me each Wednesday at 3 p.m. to explore what it is to be human and create that second chance, as I examine ways about how you can have more peace, love, and happiness in your life. Until next week, remember this: when you change what you do and the way you look at things, the things you look at change. You have been